There's a moment in almost every argument, every negotiation, every conflict, where the other person isn't actually trying to beat you. They're trying to read you, watching your face, waiting for the flinch, listening for the crack in your voice that tells them exactly where it hurts. And the second you give them that, you've already lost. Doesn't matter what you say after, the damage is done. Nobody explains this part. Winning almost never comes from what you say. It comes from what you refuse to give away. Think about a card table. Every good player knows the game was never really about the cards in your hand. It's about what your face does when you look at them. A twitch, a pause half a second too long, a sudden interest in your drink. That's called a tell. And it doesn't matter how strong your hand is if your face already told the whole table how you feel about it. The best players in the world aren't unreadable because they don't feel anything. They feel everything. The fear of a bad hand, the thrill of a good one. They've just trained their face to stop reporting live updates on it. That's the entire skill. Not emotional absence, emotional privacy. Here's what nobody tells you. You're sitting at that same table every single day. At work, in arguments, with people who say something sharp just to watch what happens to your face next. And most people don't even realize they're holding their cards up to their chest. They're holding them up to the light for everyone to read. It usually starts in the body before it ever reaches your mouth. Someone says something designed to land, and your chest tightens first. Heart rate up, that itch to respond immediately, to correct them, to explain, to prove it didn't hurt. That itch is not a warning. It's the trap disguised as urgency, because the moment you obey it, you've already answered a question you didn't have to answer. You explain yourself. You raise your voice. You defend a version of you that didn't even need defending. And in that exact moment, you've handed them the only thing they were actually looking for. Proof that it landed. That's the tell, not the insult. Your reaction to it. Picture the room. Someone brings up your mistake in front of everyone, timed just right, watching to see if your face changes. Every person in that room is now watching two things happen at once: the mistake and your reaction to it. And here's the part almost nobody notices. Within about 10 seconds, the room forgets the mistake entirely and starts reacting to you instead. If you flinch, the story becomes about your flinch. If you explode, the story becomes about your explosion. The original point disappears completely, replaced by whatever you just handed them. Whoever changes the least in that room wins it. Silence isn't weakness. It's the one move nobody can counter, because there's nothing left for them to grab onto. You can't argue with someone who isn't arguing. You can't provoke someone who already decided the conversation isn't worth their face changing. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding them data. And without data, they're just guessing. Guessing what actually got to you. Guessing whether they won. Guessing in front of everyone watching. Watch closely, and you'll notice something uncomfortable. The people who actually hold power in a room rarely raise their voice to prove it. They don't explain themselves twice. They don't chase down every wrong version of the story circulating without them. They let the wrong version exist because chasing it down would mean admitting it mattered. That's not arrogance. That's economy. Every word you spend defending yourself is a card you didn't need to show. This is why the loudest person in the room is so rarely the most dangerous one. Loud is easy to read. Loud tells you exactly where the insecurity lives. The real threat is quiet, because quiet gives you nothing to work with. No tell, no crack, no proof it landed. This isn't about becoming cold or pretending nothing affects you. It's the opposite, actually. It takes more control to feel something fully and still choose not to broadcast it than it does to just let it fly. Anyone can react. Reacting is the default setting, the free option, the thing your nervous system does without asking permission. Choosing not to is the only part that actually costs you something, which is exactly why it works. People aren't impressed by what's easy for you. They're unsettled by what clearly isn't, and you did it anyway. So the next time someone says something built to pull a reaction out of you, in a meeting, at a dinner table, in a message thread everyone can see, try this instead. Give them nothing, not coldness, just stillness. Let the sentence hang in the air with no defense chasing after it. Watch what happens to a room that expected an explanation and doesn't get one. It gets uncomfortable, and that discomfort isn't yours to carry anymore. It's theirs. Give it enough time, and something else starts to happen. People stop testing you the way they used to, not because they suddenly respect you. Respect isn't handed out that fast, but because testing you stopped being interesting. There's no show anymore, no flinch to replay to someone else later, no story to tell about the day they finally got to you. And when there's no story, most people simply move on to someone who'll give them one. You don't win by proving them wrong. You win by refusing to hand them the one thing they needed to feel like they were right. Because at the end of it, nobody remembers what you said back. They remember that nothing they did could reach you. You don't defend a throne. You just sit on it.